Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday morning to you all. Hope you guys are having an awesome start to your weekend, feeling great out there. Got you a big update on what's going to happen weather-wise for today for most of the country. And of course, give you a pretty big update on the tropics. And we're going to talk about the Atlantic. That'll be the main topic in the tropics. We're also going to talk about a system in the Eastern Pacific. I do not talk about that area much, but there's a chance for development. In fact, most likely we are going to have development. And for a system to form, and forgive me if I mispronounce any kind of name, we got Javier out there right now. And I don't even know what the next name is, to be honest, because I don't talk about the Pacific much, and I'll be completely honest with you guys. But there's a system that could sneak far enough north that maybe, just maybe, it could maybe somehow affect areas of Southern California. But we'll talk a little bit about that, and we might talk about it more as maybe confidence increases that it actually will affect areas of California. But anyways, if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Appreciate the support. I really do, guys. It means the world to me. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook. Great way to follow along. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over. Please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's get rolling this morning. First off, I'll mention, my gut feeling was wrong about 91L. It is now Tropical Storm Earl. In fact, it became Tropical Storm Earl technically last night before we rolled over into September 3rd. I believe the 11 p.m. update last night, it became Tropical Storm Earl. So you got Earl out here, all right? So we don't roll through Danielle and Earl this week, and we're just keeping on trucking here. Now we still got Danielle. Danielle actually weakened into a tropical storm, and I think it's because of it's just churning the waters. It's stationary. So what happens is when these systems, the upper environmental kind of factor out there, upper air environment out there is actually favorable, but it sits in one spot, churns the water up, cools the sea surface temperatures down, and actually weakens it when it just sits there in one spot. If you remember, Hurricane Sally kind of did that, and then it re-strengthened. So sometimes that matters, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, you technically have a strong tropical storm Danielle now, but it's expected to develop back into a hurricane and maybe push Category 2 status. But it's not bothering anybody. Earl, I wouldn't say is going to bother anybody. It's probably going to maybe bring some showers to Puerto Rico, but there is still question marks on Earl. We'll talk about that. So moving forward, like I said, you got Earl and you got Danielle. Danielle went back down to a tropical storm, but expected to quickly become a hurricane again. And I think Earl will become a hurricane, but we need to watch because there is some just some weird stuff on the ensembles that show it could slow down so much to the point where it only moves from here to around here over a 10-day period. And let me tell you that the slower it goes and the weaker it stays, even though it's a tropical storm, the more it'll try to tick more kind of west-northwest as opposed to just turning due north and then northeast. So we'll have to watch it. I still think we need to watch it. Here we go. We got Tropical Storm Danielle, and I think it's actually re-strengthening right now. It looks a lot better already, and it still looks healthy. She looks healthy out here, not bothering anybody, chilling with the fishes, and that's about all she wrote with that. And just not bothering nobody, but it still is going to be a pretty healthy hurricane probably again by the time we get to this evening. Now, Earl, you look at Earl, you had a big area of convection that really blew up from diurnal maximum, which is a favorable time of the day for convection to really get fired up with these tropical cyclones. But, it's kind of waned down a little bit, not as intense, but it looks like another blow up in convection with this blob. It's still just a tropical storm. Now, last night, yesterday evening, I made the video pretty early, and it turned out there was a pretty robust low-level circulation, and there is, under all this mid-level convection with all these colors right here. So we have to see if it's going to get a more of a symmetrical look, just look more healthy. But right now, it just looks like your classic weak tropical storm just northeast of the Leeward Islands. So we'll watch it right now per the 5 a.m. update. Let's see if there's an 8 a.m. update. Forgive me here. And it doesn't look like there is. There might be, but there might not be any changes. But right now, Tropical Storm Earl is expected to stay a tropical storm between now and next Thursday. So, well, I guess you can say this coming Thursday. But as of now, not forecast to become a hurricane, but it certainly could, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does. But Bermuda way up here, it has it turning, moving north and then northeast, well south of Bermuda. So if this track is correct, and it will adjust some, then that would mean that there's no real threat to Bermuda. But I'll stop you right there, and I want to mention that some of the European ensembles, and I'm going to show you here in a second, really has this thing, like I said, slowing down, trying to get close to the Bahamas. I don't think we're done figuring out what now Earl is going to do. I really don't. So let's talk about what's going to happen in the U.S. today. Now, if you want to skip ahead and just hear about the tropics, not really worried about the weather today, feel free to do so. I'm going to talk a lot about the tropics towards the end of the video. But right now, you got this area. We watch out for some severe storms today. You know, that's western Kentucky, areas of western Tennessee, far southeast Missouri, and then maybe a very small area of northeast Arkansas. Then we'll watch out in Oklahoma for some severe storms. Everywhere else, just a general risk of storms. Now, you look at the excessive rainfall outlook and a slight risk for flash flooding occurring. That has at least a 15% chance of flash flood guidance being met. We'll watch for some flooding in areas of the Mid-South and southern Ohio Valley, and then the entire coastline of Texas points north a little bit. Basically, the entire southeast portion of Texas under a slight risk, and the entire southern half of Louisiana under a slight risk for flash flooding. So we got to be mindful. Be mindful for rain. And I want to remind you guys, if y'all hear a bunch of kids in the background screaming, we got a lot of family in the house this morning. So I got 3 little girls running around. So if y'all hear a screech, it's just one of the kids. But anyways, as far as I know, it's football Saturday. I am stoked. I'm trying to contain my excitement in this video. I know I'm going to the Gamecock Georgia State game here tonight, so I might not be able to get a video tonight, even though I said that last night. I really don't think I'm going to be able to fit one in tonight, but I'll certainly be with me Sunday morning. I'll have you some updated information. But as far as the weather for your southeast, if you're going out watching some football, going to a game, you know, it's going to just be your typical kind of summer pattern, scattered pop-up showers and storms. Now, if you're in Florida, for example, for the game tonight in Gainesville, I think there could be some rain around. You know, it's a big game down there, Utah, Florida. I certainly think there could be some showers and storms in and around the Gainesville area, for example. So be mindful of that. It's just that time of the year. And then along the entire Gulf Coast, widespread showers and storms, but, you know, not quite as widespread, a little bit further north. But I certainly think that, you know, you're definitely going to get some widespread showers and storms in this area I just mentioned a couple minutes ago in Kentucky. And some severe storms are certainly possible in this area of kind of the Quad States regions, the Mississippi Valley. So be mindful of that. Outside of that, not a big weather story. The Northeast today, quiet, beautiful weather expected. Now, I think some showers and storms will work their way into West Virginia today, and maybe a little bit of shower storm activity in areas of New York State near Binghamton, for example, and some showers kind of sneaking in and around the Pittsburgh area a little bit later this evening. Maybe an isolated severe storm, strong to severe storm possible in the middle of Michigan. We'll watch for that. But outside of that, not a big deal. Moving forward here, like I said, widespread showers and storms in areas of southern and southeast areas of Texas. So you guys need the rain, especially right here in the south central U.S. So luckily, we've been in a nice pattern where we've been making up for lost ground. You guys were in an awful drought, and I know it's still pretty dry out here, but at least you're starting to get a nice pattern where you get those rain chances back. So certainly it's possible. You know, Austin, San Antonio, certainly a lot of rain expected. Up to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, probably not as widespread. Up here in the north central U.S., we'll watch for some severe storms in southern Wisconsin, but not a real big deal. I think it's just not going to be an outbreak of severe storms or anything like that, but we'll watch that area. And then moving forward here, like I said, some showers and storms possible in Michigan today. Temperatures, you know, there's a big cold front kind of sweeping through areas of southeast Canada, but a nice air mass in the northern plains, the north central U.S., Midwest. You know, UP and Michigan might be downright chilly today. But everywhere else, from Chicago to Detroit, the Ohio Valley, New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, you know, 70s and 80s. You get down to the southeast, it's going to feel like your typical first game of college football. 80s, humid, near 90 in certain areas. And definitely is not going to be nothing. I don't know if you guys remember. I know I'm a weather guy, so I have a big-time memory when it comes to weather dates. But last year, the first weekend of college football, we had a cold front that just had swept through the Friday before, and it was about the best weather you could ask for the entire eastern U.S. for the first weekend of college football for Labor Day weekend. So it's not going to be like that this weekend. It's just going to be your classic warm and humid, downright hot and humid first Saturday of college football out there for sure. Let's talk about the tropics. So we're going to take a look at the GFS because the GFS in the short term was right. It tried to tell us that, hey, there was going to be a tropical storm with 91L pretty quickly. And in fact, it was quicker than what the GFS showed. So the GFS certainly kind of, you had to, tip your hat to it, but still initializing weaker than what it actually is. If you look at Earl, it's actually right now 1,005 millibar low pressure here on this Saturday morning. Make sure we get to the right panel. And I mean, it's still by tomorrow morning, still 1,006 and starting to turn north. So here's the thing. It's kind of a nowcasting thing. If this thing is going to turn north, it's going to do it within the next 24 hours. If it keeps chugging west-northwest, especially if it gets north of, if it gets around in this area, then we know that this might, get a little bit closer to the homeland a little bit more in the Bahamas, things like that. So it's just something we need to watch. But the GFS has this turning abruptly. And then by the time we get into Monday afternoon, this is an all-out probably tropical storm, pushing hurricane status per the GFS. The latest GFS, we're getting into Wednesday morning, has a very strong hurricane getting pretty close to Bermuda, but eventually turning out to sea. Thankfully, not bothering anybody. But the latest GFS still has this becoming borderline a major hurricane. We look at the European. What does the European do? The European, operational European, let me add that. By the time we get into Sunday morning, kind of sits here, stalls for a little bit north of Puerto Rico, inches a little bit more west-northwest than the GFS. And when I tell you this thing stalls, I mean the Euro has just meandering here all through next week. Barely moves, inches by, gets all the way to Thursday morning. At Thursday morning on the GFS, it has this storm way out here. On Thursday morning on the European, it still has a tropical storm way down here. So this is a tough one to figure out. It is. There's still definitely a lot of different scenarios out there, and the ensembles that I'm about to show you show it very well. But, the European has this as a tropical storm getting close to a hurricane, but look how close it gets to Bermuda. Has it all as an all-out, probably Category 1, close to a Category 2 hurricane, barely missing Bermuda, still affecting Bermuda to the east, and then heading due north, almost east, kind of almost a little bit northeast, but wobbling northeast a little bit, but then heads north, and then it finally starts to just gain some more northeast traction. So suddenly, the European shows a stronger storm. So it's actually European has kind of tipped its hat to the GFS as far as strength of the storm, not necessarily path. We don't know that yet. But we'll look at the GFS as a whole. Does anything threaten? And I'm sorry for saying Nantucket for areas of Canada in last night's video. I had somebody tell me that I did that. That's going to happen occasionally. I do apologize, but Nova Scotia and areas up here, need to watch out. This is certainly could at least bring some waves, but I don't think it's going to be any kind of threat or anything like that. But watching going forward here, we'll see how this turns, and just watch these areas of Canada right into here. And the GFS kind of turns this, but doesn't even get it close. It wants to kind of whip it there here for a brief second, but it doesn't really bother anything. Now the European, has it coming, turns it north very slowly, and the last frame of the European, this is for next Monday evening, has it moving north, but starting to slowly turn northeast. But this is getting very close to areas of Canada right here. So we'll watch Canada. I don't think there's a threat here, but it's certainly something we need to watch as the models are just still everywhere. So here's the European ensemble. So this is one thing I want y'all to focus in on. The stronger this is in the near term, the higher chance it's going to turn out to sea. And you can actually see this. You see how you had these, more colors right here that symbolizes a stronger storm just in general. So some of these members really stall out, and the ones that stall out are really slow. Try to sneak a little bit further northwest, and then that's when you need to watch out. So this is over the course of 10 days. Some of these members, 10 days, have this going from right here just to right here in 10 days. I mean, some of these systems can cross the entire tropical Atlantic in 10 days and be right here. That tells you how how different, some scenarios are. And if we look at this and we compare it to the 12Z cycle yesterday, and look how much different it is. I mean, that's a pretty big difference to me. First off, there's more members back. So it symbolizes that we actually got a legitimate storm. We do actually out there. And then, second of all, I mean, you got more members really stalling this out and flirting with the idea of them getting kind of closer to the southeast. So, it's just something to watch. It really is. So we'll have to watch this today especially. But Javier right here is the tropical storm. But, we're going to watch this feature right here. I know this is, the Pacific. We don't talk about the Pacific much. But this has a chance. This is likely going to be the next storm. It is. It's going to be the next named storm in the Eastern Pacific. Not sure of the name. Not even going to sit here and lie to you. I probably should have did some research. But I'm just keeping it real with you guys. I didn't. But in general, if this develops, this is, most model guidance has this just going in this direction. And pretty far north. Affecting, Baja California, places like that. The GFS, here it goes. Turns this into a major hurricane. And yeah, starts to scrape areas of Mexico, Baja California here. And then look what it does. It gets very close. I mean, you got LA right up here. Let's see if we can just go on and switch to the southwest. Come on, baby. All right, here we go. Look, you got a tropical storm. I mean, you got LA right in this area, and you got a tropical storm right off the coastline. It doesn't make a landfall. Now, I will mention, I know I don't talk about this area much, but the sea surface temperatures in the Pacific drop off dramatically in this area right here. It's very warm down here, and then they cool off substantially up here. So it's going to be interesting to see how close this can get the areas of Southern California. Now, some of these models had the moisture plowing right into Arizona, so it'll be interesting. But the GFS is on board with this idea too. Quickly strengthens it, not quite as much as the GFS. Turns this more north. I would say almost completely makes landfall in Baja California, and rides up the coastline and actually brings a lot of moisture to Southern California. So it'll be interesting. The ensembles like the idea. This is over the course of the next 10 days. They are clustered up pretty good in this area. And this is at least going to still be a hurricane or a tropical storm at this point. So we'll watch Southern California. We'll watch this. This will be an interesting thing to watch for sure, because it is very uncommon. It's happened, but it's very uncommon to get any kind of impactful tropical system in Southern California. So we'll continue to watch that. But thank y'all for tuning in. God bless, and I'll have you an update probably tomorrow morning. God bless all y'all.